Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear down, Bears fans. Welcome into another edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Pat, the designer, Jason McKie, live from Indianapolis with the internet of Indianapolis. I think we can all agree. J Mack, what's good?
Man, hanging out, man. Just got back from practice, so back in the hotel. And shout out to the Renaissance for at least giving me internet, but hopefully we can make it through this podcast without me being frozen on the screen like this or something like that. So
let's keep it. Let's see, man. As long as the audio come through right, the podcast is great. Whatever we put on the video, you know, it's free game. It's free game. We'll see what happens. Hey, we got a lot to get into. Of course, takeaways from the joint practice, getting that from J Mack, the man who got to put his eyes on it. 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. I heard today was hitting my quarterback out there. I don't like hearing that, J Mack. So we got to talk about that as well. Velus Jones continuing to have himself a day at practice. Is that moving him in the right direction? Darnell Mooney's getting back into form. And, of course, got to talk to J Mack about who stood out most, all that and more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago Bears daily on this channel Monday through Friday. So let's keep this thing going, man. Drop a bird down in the chat. Football season's back. We got joint practices. J Mack.
First quarter.
Got to start here. Offense, we're hearing good things. Seemed like the offense did pretty well. How did Justin Fields in that first team offense look versus the Colts to you today?
Yeah, it was the biggest thing. You know, I'll start off with the environment, the atmosphere. It was 7,000 plus. I mean, it was a great atmosphere, a great environment for a joint practice. The Colts fans were out there. There were some Bears fans out there. You can feel the intensity in the air. Obviously, the weather was perfect, and as the sun went down, it was even more perfect. And guys were out there competing, man. I saw some, you know, exactly what Coach Flus was talking about in terms of what they're looking for. They're looking for elite competitors, and I saw guys competing at an elite level today. Let's start with the offense, Pat. A lot of guys, you know, there was a lot of guys that stood out to me. Obviously, DJ Moore, he's always stands out. He did his thing today, as is expected. You know, he's done that every practice. He did it in preseason when he got his opportunities. But the big one, and I was tweeting it out, Velus Jones. You know, he started out. They did a special teams period, and he was the first punt return. I was like, oh, wow, Velus is the starting punt returner. He fielded everything cleanly. I don't know if it's just obviously there's a more – practice is a lot easier than the game. You know, I just feel like in the game he may be stressed out a little bit back there. Yeah. But on the offensive side of things, he did some really good things. He got a deep ball from P.J. Walker down the left sideline in front of all the fans. Got his feet in bounds. Then he caught another deep ball from Justin Fields in the 2-minute drill, in which he almost fell on my lap because I was right there, which was pretty cool being that close to the action, and made a great diving catch and had the awareness to keep his feet in bounds. So when you see things like that, and I know there's a mixed bag how people feel about Velus Jones in Chicagoland right now, but with what I saw today, you know, we already know he has the ability to make plays. The dude's explosive. When that ball's in his hands, when he actually has the ball in his hand, he can make plays. It's just a matter of getting the ball in his hands. You know what I'm saying?
You got to get that ball in his hands, right? You got to make that catch.
This guy, he's dynamic when the ball's secured in his hand. And I'm not even trying to be funny, but the guy is real dynamic, and I'm glad to see that he was able to, you know, put away a bad showing in preseason game 1 and really stand out today. Some other guys that stood out to me was D'Onta Foreman. He ran the ball well. He ran the ball tough inside. You know, I feel like they weren't tackling to the ground, but I felt like if it was a live play in which they were able to tackle to the ground, some of the long runs that he broke, I felt that was a realistic look by the way he got through the hole, you know, by the way he lowered his shoulder and turned for more yardage. So he had a really good showing. And it's good because when you look at that running back room, right, for Herbert, you look at Roschon Johnson that got some time with the ones early this week. So, you know, D'Onta Foreman's like, hey, I got to step my game up. I didn't have a greatest showing on Saturday. I didn't get a lot of opportunities, but now I've got to, you know, it's crunch time. I want playing time. I got to go out there and show my worth. So I was real impressed with him. in terms of the offense. And then Roschon. I mean, Roschon's just – I know I keep talking about this guy, but this guy is just – I mean, he's a football player.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the scouts on the sideline, and they were saying how, you know, Roschon, the guys would be in a group eating on one table, Roschon's on the other table looking at plays. You know what I mean? Looking at his playbook. And they're like, this dude is a football guy. He's about his business. And he showed that today. He caught a check down pass from Justin Fields, took a big shot. The whole Colts sideline, the defense start chirping at Roschon. Roschon's chirping back at them like, what did he do? So he goes back in the huddle. A couple plays later, Roschon runs, I think it was an inside zone play, and just runs through a guy, churns for more yards, had like a 15-yard gain. Then he gets up and he's talking back to the Colts sideline. Like the energy that he brings to the table, I mean, it's infectious. Like it made me have goosebumps. It made me want to go steal somebody's helmet. Like I was pumped up. So it's just –
You didn't bring your own? Are you telling me you didn't bring your own helmet down there?
Nah, I could have asked T-Med for one, man. Thank God for T-Med, man. You know, it's a big complex, man, and it's a hike to the practice field. So shout out to Tony Medlin, the head equipment manager, for giving me, Thayer, and Joniak a ride to the practice field and stuff like that. But there was a lot of guys competing, man. Those are the guys that really stood out to me offensively. I felt like, you know, Justin had an up and down day. He threw 2 picks. He threw one to Rodney Thomas, the other one to I think it's Nick Scott is his name. Hopefully I'm not butchering the guy's name. I think it was Nick Scott. He threw that too. But then he came back and, like I said, made a big throw to Bayless, made some great throws. So, you know, he even stayed after practice and was throwing passes and running sprints. So, you know, that's what you want. You're not always going to have the best of days as a quarterback. You're going to be, you know, up and down. But at the end of the day, we want you to have more up days than down days. But you've got to be a relentless worker. You've got to set the standard and the example for the team as a whole. And if you want those guys to huddle, you've got to put in the work. They've got to see you putting in the work. You've got to encourage those guys to stay after and get work with you. That's a franchise quarterback. So, you know, he still got some things he needs to work on, as does a lot of guys. But I was encouraged to see, you know, him finally compete at an elite level and get an extended look against the different teams.
Seems like the 7-on-7 drill and the 1-on-1s today was really good for Justin Fields and their first team offense. Seems like they were able to move the ball down the field. I mean, is it to the point where at this point it's a guarantee that DJ Moore Justin Fields connection is going to be there no matter who's standing in front of it? We saw the catch all over Twitter where DJ Moore one-hands it, basically just making it look easy. But I mean, the route we saw DJ running, how easily Justin was able to get the ball to him. What'd you take away from seeing these guys in 1-on-1 and of course in the 7-on-7?
Yeah, I mean, all of our receivers, like it was like, and the Colts got some really good DBs. You know what I'm saying? It was good. You know, we talk about DJ, we talk about Darnell, but Isaiah Ford was out there making some good catches. Jerice Fountain made some good catches. And it was just good to see that we have receivers that run routes with physicality. You know what I'm saying? Like there's an art form to playing receiver, right? You have to be able to, and there's a certain time in which you have to be able to run routes physical, because in 1-on-1s, it's man coverage. Duh, it's 1-on-1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got to be able to run routes physically. You got to be able to get separation. And the clip that everybody's showing with DJ Moore making the one-hand catch, I mean, he's being held the whole route, you know, and he's able to run that route with physicality, get separation, and still have the awareness in the mindset to be able to one-hand catch that ball and get his feet in bounds. Like it's a highlight play, but now those are plays that we've seen ever since DJ Moore set foot in the Bears uniform. We've seen this over and over again. He's a playmaker. And, you know, Pat, I mean, we've seen it. We've been in training camp. Like, that chemistry is there. I mean, that chemistry is there. Like, I mean, I feel like Justin knows, you know, when he goes to DJ, he knows where to put the ball based upon what type of route DJ is throwing. That's his security blanket. You know, if he was a baby, that's his pacifier, you know. And like I said, the other guys, they did well too. It was a good environment for those young guys to go up and get different. You know, obviously a lot of those guys got a lot of reps because now you get to go against another, you know, an Indianapolis Colts, and they did what they're supposed to do.
It's good to hear that they're still continuing to be able to build off of that, even though it's not right just versus the Bears, because that's the concern, right? Like, you look good versus your own defense, and then you go out there versus somebody else, and it's like, oh man, that's not the exact same thing that we've been seeing. Where do you think the struggles came in? Because I did hear that one of the interceptions, and we got to get into this as well. I did hear that one of the interceptions came off of Justin taking a hit while he's throwing the football, and all of a sudden the ball was a little bit underthrown. Is that facts that we got that confirmed?
Yeah, one of them. A lot of it's too. It's one of them he was late on one of them. Late. DB made a good break on the ball. The other one, I think he did get hit as he was releasing the ball. So, yeah, I mean, he's got to do. I mean, that's going to happen in the game, though. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
It's good to see he's getting an opportunity to get a good look against a good defense. We only seen a small sample size against the Titans. There were still some guys on the Colts. DeForest Buckner didn't play. He's one of their better, in practice today. But they do have a formidable front group of guys that can get to the quarterback. So it was good for our offensive line to see that type of pass rush, to see a live pass rush. We know those ones only got a limited amount of reps in preseason game one. So it was good for them to get that work. It was real good elite competition today, and that's something that we're going to need. They're going to have to get prepared for week one. I don't know how much they're going to play Saturday. I don't know how much they're going to play in game 3. So this is an important time for these guys to get some real work done before we open up with Green Bay.
Second quarter.
Let's head into the second quarter here. Second quarter brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. You can see Black Veil, Bridges, and VV on September 28th at Hard Rock. Live tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. J Mack, got to talk about the defense as well, because I heard young Anthony Richardson, he was running around on us a little bit. A lot of the reports are he struggled, but you can see that there's talent in that young man. What were your takeaways from Anthony Richardson and how he was going at this Bears defense today?
Yeah, I mean, this dude, arriving at camp, and we're inside their practice facility, and all the Colts guys are coming out. So we're talking with Tony Medlin. I'm talking with him, and Anthony Richardson walks right by me. Man, the dude is huge, and I'm not even gonna lie. He's big, but the dude is it's crazy, man. And the funny thing is, how we talk about how athletically gifted he is, and the coach, assistant strength coach, performance, Rusty Jones. So Rusty Jones was our head strength coach when I played with the Bears. And he just kept raving about Anthony Richardson. He's 51. He runs a 4-something, 7% body fat. And you can see it out there. The dude's put together, but you can see why he was. I think he only started 13 games at the University of Florida, man. And he's got a great deep ball, that ball. He can sling it. But then he also has, he's got a little bit of touch too, to where if a receiver ran a little stop route and just a flick of the wrist and that ball's right there. He's throwing the ball out on the perimeter, receivers running out route, he flick of the wrist and that ball's right there. You know what I mean? So it's just with him, I think it's going to be time. And once he starts understanding the offense and really gets in his bag and understands, what defenses is trying to do to him in terms of coverages, and once he figures it out, because if he takes off, that's 250 pounds coming at you running a 4.4. Good luck trying to tackle that. But he also has a cannon for an arm. So once he figures this thing out, he's going to give a lot of people problems. And he did give us some problems today defensively, but I felt like our defense did really well. I feel like our defense rose to the occasion. They were flying. Were talking trash to each other. When we made a play, our entire sideline offensive players included up. So
oh, there you go. You froze up a little bit on the end there. We got nervous. I was like, oh, this is it.
That Pat ain't moving right there, man. I just said all that stuff and he didn't even move.
Hey, we didn't get none of it. No, I'm just playing. No, the one thing that I did hear, right, from the defensive side, there was a standout today was Eddie Jackson. Seems like Eddie Jackson went out there and was getting the job done, but got a pick, laid a big boom. But between him and Michael Pittman, sounded like he ended up getting a little bit dinged up. Any indication on expectations for Eddie Jackson? Is he okay? What's going on with him, heading into tomorrow's practice and things like that? I heard he didn't leave the sidelines, but we also saw that same thing with Chase Claypool.
Yeah, he stayed out there. He did get a pick. He was flying around. He stayed out there. He did get a little banged up, but he didn't leave the field. Interesting, Noah Sewell did leave the field. That was interesting. He didn't return. Not really sure what that injury is. Obviously, they're not going to tell us no injuries in preseason. So
yeah,
we'll have to see if both of those guys are out there tomorrow, or if Noah's out there tomorrow. So I'll have a report on that tomorrow. But yeah, the defense, they were flying around. And you know what? One guy that was really making plays, who's not getting a lot of pub right now, is a young guy, Macon Clark, wearing number 25, cornerback. He made some plays, man. Like, he's got a little grit to him. He's got a little nastiness to him. And he was out there making some plays. He was getting some times. He was getting some extended looks. And it's good to see that when you're a young guy, you're a radar guy, dog, and you get out there, you get an opportunity, you make the most of it. That's how you make a team. That's how you make a team. I saw Jalen Johnson out there making some plays. He had a few PBUs. Saw what he did in the preseason. He had 3 special teams tackles in a row. And, I could overhear talking to another coach saying, like, how, excited he was about Jalen Johnson, and coming from the special teams coach, like, you're headed in the right direction for making a roster, because you're going to impact the game. You know what I mean? And that's what these young guys got to understand. You have to earn your way on this roster through special teams first. And the more you ball out on special team plays on special teams, then you'll get an opportunity to play your position, whether it's on offense or defense. But the key to it is special teams.
Yeah, and I think, right, like, it's good to see that this defense, like you said, we're seeing guys go out there and make a name past just the frontline names on a consistent basis. Now, we saw it in the first preseason game. Now we're seeing it in the joint practice. Heard a lot of good things about even some of the backups on the offensive end. And Sybil Webster sounded like he had a good day. Fontaine sounded like he had a good day as well. The Justin Fields was able to find them. PJ Walker was able to find those guys. So it's good to know that, and I think that's what you really gain from these joint practices, right? And you can speak to it where you're going to get to see so much of your team going up against what they're going to see on the field more than you're going to see in preseason.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you're not going to – this is – for our first teamers, like, you're getting a lot of reps. And especially in the practice today, I think the ones did a 2-minute drill. I think each group had 2 entire drives of 2-minute drills. So the ones got 2 drives in 2 minutes, 2's got 2 drives in 2 minutes, and I think 3's even got 1 drive in the 2-minute drill. So it's reps, and that's what you want. Guys getting reps, guys getting used to the physicality of the game, guys getting their bodies calloused, used to getting hit and stuff like that. And you need those reps to build chemistry. You need those reps to work out the kinks of whatever play is being called. Guys on the defensive line, they need those reps against another team in which they're rushing the passer, which they can actually put a little bit more emphasis on rushing the passer because it's not their own teammate. So all these reps is invaluable. And these coaches love it because this gives them an opportunity to coach these guys up, on as close to a realistic look as they're going to get.
Yeah. Let's keep this thing moving along, man. Let's head into the third quarter because there's so much that we got to get to today. As we get into this third quarter, J Mack, seemed like the injury bug is still out there. We talked about Eddie Jackson getting banged up today, Noah Sewell leaving with an apparent injury, but still no Jaquan Brisker, no Chase Claypool as well, no Lucas Patrick, no Tremaine Edmonds. As you see this now, we had Nate Davis in pads today, had DeMarcus Walker and Terrell Smith, but as you see those names still out there, where's your concern level where there's a joint practice where we've talked about get the most out of, and there's 4 of your major guys who aren't there? Yeah,
it's concerning because the season opener is so close. Tremaine's been out for a long time. Jaquan's been out for almost 2 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's they're losing reps, but the caveat to that is those guys have played a lot of football, and mainly Tremaine Edmonds. He's played twice as much football as Jaquan Brisker has. So I'm not. I know he's a playmaker. He's going to make plays. He's got to overcome, whatever he's facing right now. Jaquan, I think, is going to hurt him a little bit more because, he was really coming into his own. He was having a good camp before the injury bug hit him. And I feel like, just their second year in the offense, it's his second year defense. The more reps he gets, continuing to build continuity with the guys around him in the second year in the system, mastering the scheme, going through, all the checks and stuff like that, live. It's different from, him being in the classroom, watching film, making checks and getting mental reps. Like, he needs to be out there getting the reps. So I think I'm not saying it's going to hurt him right now, but I'm concerned because he's losing and grow within the scheme. And today was a perfect opportunity for him to really grow and go against, another team at a full speed level, because he probably would have been one of those guys on Saturday that only got like a handful of reps. Well, today he would have got, 3-4 times as many reps as he would have gotten in the preseason game. So he's losing opportunity, but, I don't think I feel like he'll be ready week 1. I seen him walking around and he looked fine. It didn't look like nothing crazy was wrong with him. So I'm assuming he'll be, in the lineup in week 1.
That's the hope, man. That's really the hope. What'd you see out of Nate Davis today? Heard that he was in pads. Was he a full go? Was he going at a full practice? Because, the last thing we heard from him was his press conference, and it seems like off of that press conference, everybody seemed a little bit concerned about, what he was doing. Because even out there, right, he's in shells. He's not doing much standing on the sideline. What'd you see from Nate Davis today? Was he a full go?
Yeah, let me go back to that press conference and I answer your question. That press conference was wild, right?
I was just like, you didn't say, like, he was just like, hey, man, like, I don't feel like talking. Like, to me, it sounded like I don't feel like talking to you.
Man, he today, once again, we up to the coaches and the trainers. He said it about 40 times.
I'm just like, I feel like he did more harm than good, though. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, just say, because all the question was, do you feel like you're ready to play? And when you say, I'm going to leave that up to the trainers, it's like, okay, so you don't feel like you're ready to play because you're waiting to see what the trainers say then. Is that what you're telling me?
Hey, look here. Somebody gave Nate a paper, and they wrote exactly what it should have said on it. And they said, I'm going to leave that up to the trainers, the managers. Hey, Nate wasn't going, man. Shout out to Nate Davis, though, man. But no, I mean, I didn't see him in team. Alex Leatherwood was in there. I didn't get it. I didn't see the Owen do any one-on-one. It's weird. Like, the dynamic of practice, where as a coach, it's set up efficiently because you're going to get a lot of reps in. You have 2 teams, putting in work. You're going to have an efficient practice. But from a fan and analyst standpoint, it's hard to see everything. So you have there's 2 adjacent fields. You have one field here, back to back. They're adjacent, right? So the Bears' offense is on one field going against the Colts' defense, and the Bears' defense, Colts' offense on the other field. So when the Bears' O-line is doing one-on-ones with the Colts' D-line, it's flipped on the other field. So you got to kind of like pick and choose what you're going to watch. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get a chance today to see one-on-ones with our O-line versus the Colts D-line. I'm going to check that out tomorrow. Today I was watching ones with the receivers and stuff like that. So I didn't see him in the team drills. I don't know if he did Indy. I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he didn't participate in ones either.
Right. It's concerning to me, man. I'm sorry. Like, it sucks because you never want to call into question somebody's work ethic or anything, but the stigma placed on him as he left Tennessee was he don't like to practice. And we ain't seen this man at one practice. We see him do like a random day of walkthrough and then he sit for 2 days. Now listen, if you don't like to practice, but when the games start, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that this is what's happening here. I'm not saying that he's healthy or he's not healthy one way or the other. I don't know. And I think that's the part where the speculation comes in because we don't know. But listen, if you don't like to practice, but during the game, you give up 0 sacks, you look like an absolute all-pro. And what I'm going to say to you, right? Like, I don't have nothing to say. But
that's what you're going to say. You're going to hit him with that AI. Hit him with that AI. That's what you're going to say.
We talking about practice.
That's what you're going to say.
Practice, not the game, not the game that I die for. We talking about practice. Come on, man. We talking about practice? Come on, now. I watch that about once a year. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey, that's what you're gonna say, man. Hey, I like you said, I didn't know that was the with when You see, when they're getting reps, like mine is about cohesiveness, and like we said, we talked about it with Jaquan. He's missing, opportunities to play within this. And this is Nate's first year. It's not like it's the second year in this offense. So I'm not sure. The question that he said to me about 50 times the other day. What right now?
Yeah, this is. Hey, listen, I'm gonna just let the training staff do what they do, respectfully. I'm gonna let the training staff respectfully. At a certain point, when does it get disrespectful? You throw too many respectfullys in a row. Eventually, it's disrespectful. We need to address that. That's the way.
You're being respectfully disrespectful. That's what you are. That's what you're doing.
I mean, like that's like being like, hey, with all due respect, your mama. Like you can't put those two things together, dog. Come on now. Let's keep this thing moving along. Jump into this fourth quarter real quick.
Fourth quarter.
Let's close it out with this, because the one thing that we didn't get to see on Saturday's game was something that sounded like it stood out today. Looked like Darnell Mooney is getting himself back into form. What are you seeing from Mooney? Does he look like that connection with him and Justin Fields is really versus a different defense really getting back into form?
I expect him to be better than he was before the injury.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I think the internet has reached its limits. We getting you in and out a little bit here, J Mack. So we probably gonna bring it to a close there. I think that internet is stressing. It's like, who said do a podcast on me? Hold on now. But we appreciate you guys
talk about Nate Davis, and they shut it off.
That's the Bears. Nate Davis is in the next room. He's in the next room. That's what's going on. He calls somebody. Hey, they're talking about me.
When I see him tomorrow, I'm gonna say, that's who.
Oh yeah, it's over with. Yeah, that's that's it. The internet said it's over with. Hey man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, rocking with us as always. We'll be back still covering this thing. J Mack will be down there. We got our own Courtney Cronin down there as well, so we'll talk with her on the podcast tomorrow. And I mean, listen, we're gonna keep the coverage going. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, drop a bird dime, drop your best internet joke for J Mack as well, because I mean, it's a good episode, man. It's always a funny episode when it's just like, yeah, man, and that's what I tell. And Johnson had it. I'm like, wait a minute, now what? What did we say?
Man, they just crushed all the thoughts, man.
Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.